In one of the harshest deserts on Earth, locals whisper of a creature so deadly, even its name is spoken in fear, the Mongolian Death Worm. Before we dive into this chilling mystery, make sure to subscribe to Infinity and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear might make you rethink everything you thought you knew about the world's deserts. The Gobi Desert. A place where the wind howls like a ghost and the horizon stretches endlessly in every direction. It's one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, blistering heat by day, freezing cold by night, and storms that can erase footprints within minutes. But according to Mongolian legend, something else moves beneath that sand. Something alive. Locals call it Olgoy Korkoy, which translates to large intestine worm. Not exactly poetic, but deeply descriptive. Witnesses claim the creature looks like a thick, blood-red tube, anywhere from half a meter to 1.5 meters long, with no visible eyes or mouth. It writhes beneath the dunes and emerges only to kill. The Mongolian Death Worm, as Westerners came to call it, is said to spit a corrosive acid that can melt metal, or unleash electric discharges strong enough to kill a camel or human instantly. The stories are terrifyingly consistent. And for the people of the Gobi, they're not just stories. Some accounts describe the worm lying in wait under the sand, sensing vibrations like a snake. When an unsuspecting traveler steps too close, it bursts out with shocking speed. Others say it's drawn to yellow, the color of sand, the color of death. To the nomadic tribes who've roamed these deserts for centuries, the worm isn't a myth, it's a warning. They say, do not walk alone after the storm. The sand hides more than bones. In 1922, the legend reached Western ears when paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews, the man who inspired Indiana Jones, documented local stories about the creature during his Central Asian expeditions. Even though he dismissed it as superstition, he admitted the locals' fear was genuine and deeply rooted. Andrews' reports sparked decades of curiosity. Expeditions followed, scientists, cryptozoologists, and explorers, all trying to find proof of this so-called desert monster. But none ever returned with solid evidence. No bodies. No photographs. Just whispers. Yet the consistency of the accounts was too strong to ignore. Nomads in completely different parts of the Gobi described the same thing. Red. Worm-like. Deadly. Even the way they described its movement matched across generations, undulating under the surface of the sand like a snake in water. Could this many people be wrong? Whether myth or memory, something about the Mongolian Death Worm has kept its legend alive, and its truth buried, somewhere deep beneath the dunes. After Roy Chapman Andrews' report, the legend faded from Western attention, until the 1990s, when Czech explorer Ivan Mackerel reignited global fascination. He wasn't just intrigued by the tales, he was obsessed. Mackerel organized multiple expeditions into the Gobi Desert. His goal, to capture or at least document the death worm. He interviewed dozens of locals who claimed to have seen it firsthand. Farmers, herders, even soldiers. Every testimony matched eerily well. The worm was said to appear during the hottest months, often after rainstorms, when the sand turned to sticky mud. It would emerge, slither briefly across the surface, then vanish again beneath the ground. One herder described it as thick as a man's arm, blood-red, and smooth as polished leather. Another swore that it killed his camel with a single electric jolt. Mackerel's team brought motion sensors, ground radar, and even a small aircraft to scan the dunes. Nothing. The desert swallowed every lead. Undeterred, he began considering the possibility that the death worm wasn't a worm at all, but perhaps a species of burrowing reptile or amphibian unknown to science. Something adapted to the Gobi's extreme conditions. Some zoologists proposed it could be a death adder or sand boa misidentified by locals. Others suggested it might be a species of amphisbaenian, a legless burrowing lizard that looks strikingly worm-like. But these animals don't spit acid. They don't conduct electricity. So where did those terrifying traits come from? Mackerel theorized that stories of acid and electricity might have been metaphors for poison or static shock, phenomena the locals described in the only terms they knew. After all, in a place where lightning strikes the dunes and turns sand to glass, electric monsters might not sound far-fetched. Despite his efforts, Mackerel never found the creature. But he returned convinced the legend had roots in something real, perhaps not supernatural, but definitely undiscovered. Modern scientists are understandably skeptical. To date, no physical evidence, no bones, no burrows, no tracks, has been confirmed. In fact, the Gobi's harsh conditions make fossil preservation nearly impossible, which might explain the lack of remains. Biologists studying desert fauna note that temperatures in the Gobi can exceed 45 degrees Celsius by day and drop below freezing at night. Few creatures survive such extremes, and those that do tend to live underground. That makes the idea of a burrowing predator plausible. But the death worm's electrical and acid attacks? That's harder to swallow. Some scientists point out that nature already produces electrical creatures, like the electric eel, which can generate shocks of up to 600 volts. Others, like the spitting cobra, use venom as a projectile weapon. So maybe, in theory, the death worm's powers aren't impossible, just undocumented. On the other hand, skeptics argue that the human mind tends to exaggerate danger, especially in environments as hostile as the Gobi. A venomous snake seen once under extreme conditions could easily evolve into myth over generations. Still, the Mongolian government takes the legend seriously enough that, for years, certain areas were declared off-limits during local reports of sightings, a precaution, or perhaps a quiet acknowledgement that the desert still holds secrets. In recent decades, satellite imaging has helped researchers map the Gobi's topography in unprecedented detail. Deep sand ridges, fossilized riverbeds, and hidden sinkholes suggest entire microhabitats could exist, unseen from the surface. So the idea that something strange might lurk beneath, something that rarely surfaces, remains on the table. The bigger question isn't just what the Mongolian death worm is, but why humans everywhere invent creatures like it. From the Loch Ness Monster to the chupacabra, every culture creates its own warning stories, and they often have roots in real danger. In that sense, the Gobi Desert Monster might not just be a biological mystery, it might be a psychological one. A mirror of our fear of the unknown. So, does the Mongolian death worm exist? The truth, like the creature itself, remains buried under layers of sand and skepticism. Cryptozoologists still organize occasional expeditions, though most now focus on studying the ecosystem rather than hunting monsters. Interestingly, they found new species of insects, reptiles, and bacteria, proving that the Gobi still hides life we've never seen before. Some of these discoveries include venomous burrowing beetles, subsurface lizards, and ancient bacteria that survive in conditions similar to Mars. Maybe that's the real story, not a giant killer worm, but a world still teeming with the unknown. Modern Mongolians continue to respect the legend. Some say the worm hasn't been seen in decades, others claim it's just waiting for the next storm. The death worm might not be real, but its power is undeniable. It's kept people cautious, curious, and humble before the forces of nature. The Gobi Desert, after all, isn't just sand. It's an ocean of time, and every grain holds a story we've yet to uncover. Scientists believe that with more exploration, especially using drones and subsurface scanners, we might one day find definitive proof of what's really moving beneath those dunes. Whether it's a new species, a misunderstood myth, or something beyond science, the Mongolian death worm remains one of the last unsolved mysteries of the natural world. And maybe that's the point, that not everything needs to be proven to be powerful. Sometimes, the fear of the unknown is what keeps us searching. So the next time you picture the Gobi, endless, silent, and empty, remember this: the sand remembers more than it reveals. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Infinity for more mysteries from the edge of science and myth. Because the truth isn't always buried forever. Sometimes, it's just waiting beneath the sand.